The question that we often hear in our mentoring seminars is, where do I find these young women? And I guess I would ask the question, first of all, why? Why would I do this? Is this something God is calling me to do? Does He have purpose for me in mentoring? As a young woman, this was answered many years ago as we were called to minister in a church plant, and I was a young wife with 3 small children. I felt inadequate as young women would come to me and ask for help with their homes, their husbands, their children, even their difficulties in communication. I wondered why they would come to me, but I guess they thought she's a little bit further down the road and she might know something. Little did they know how I was struggling myself. One day in reading scripture, I came across Titus 2, 3-5, where Paul is actually instructing the older women to teach the younger women about marriage and about family, children, home, even self-control, purity, kindness, even hospitality. And it was a moment that I thought, okay, that's what God has for me. That's His mandate for me. And with that realization came the realization that when God calls us to something, He will always equip us for it. And He will provide the opportunities to meet those women, for them to come across your path, for you to see them. So with that being said, I pray, and I believe that all of us should pray if we want to mentor young women. I believe that we should pray for Him to open our eyes to the women around us, to those that possibly have loneliness, pain, discouragement, maybe even some confusion and chaos in their lives at the present. I also pray that He would open my ears to hear their needs, to listen carefully for what's going on in their lives, to not judge them, but to point them to a God who cares, and that they would sense that I care just because I'm willing to listen. I also pray for God to open my heart, to be willing to spend time with them, to be willing to be vulnerable with them. And sometimes all it takes is, let's meet for coffee at Starbucks. Possibly another pair of eyes or ears on the situation might help. And then I pray for Him to open my hands, to be willing to serve them. This may mean just helping them fix a meal, or hold a crying baby, or help them with an argument with their husbands. It may mean helping them make a budget. It could even mean helping them make a pie. For me, mentoring is hands-on, life on life. The last thing I ask for the Lord to do is to give me discernment, because not every situation is the same. Sometimes it's short. Sometimes I can encourage them and pray with them, give them some pointers, and that may be all they need. Other times I sense that there's a deeper problem and that there's more intense involvement needed, and only God can give us this. Sometimes it's even just a text of encouragement, or how can I pray for you? So each one is different, and I do depend upon the Lord to show me that. And then for those women who want to be mentored, how do I find these older women? Well, I think the same would be true. Ask God to open your eyes to see the women around you that are there in Bible studies, in small groups, at church, that have navigated their way through the portion of life that maybe you're just now entering. I would ask that you pray for, again, ears to hear the wisdom that maybe they have for you, and that you would open your heart to be vulnerable, to ask, to reach out. Sometimes they are not feeling as confident to start that conversation, so it may be up to you to be vulnerable and reach out. And then I would ask that you would recognize that there are limitations with women, that they are not the end all, that God is the one that we must turn to, and we as mentors always want to point you to God and His Word. I hope this has been helpful for you to find the ladies that God has for you to mentor, and for those that are looking for a mentor, and trust that God will lead you to the right woman for your life.